at Gradsky. So today I'm here to give a brief introduction and orientation of the course. So let's quickly get started. Give me a second.
And I request participants to ask questions anytime. You do not wait till the end. You can ask, in between anytime. Please feel free to ask.
Okay. So what is Sagemath and why Sagemath? So I'll be quoting a Wikipedia definition of what is Sagemath. Sagemath is a free open source Python-based math software that supports research, teaching in algebra, geometry, and other mathematical concepts. It builds on top of many existing open packages like NumPy, SciPy, Flint, Gap, R, etc. So coming to why Sagemath. Okay, so first I'll tell you about where I use Sagemath. Okay, I'm a research oriented student with main focus in computational material science. Basically, I'm a material science student who uses Sagemath. So I use Sagemath for my research projects and courses. And I use it to solve like very basic differential equations, combinatorics, and other mathematical and physical problems. That's where I've been using Sagemath. So coming to okay, let's begin with why Sagemath. So firstly, it's open source. Yes, so you can install it anywhere. You don't have to think about where you have to install it, irrespective of whether you have academic license or not. You don't have to worry about it. It isn't a commercial software; it's an open source software. So that's the main advantage of Sagemath. And the second most important thing is it's Python based. Python's a ubiquitous universal programming language that can work on all platforms. So it's Python based, so that's another great advantage of Sagemath. And apart from it being open source and Python based, the other thing is it's extremely helpful for higher level students. So particularly because it's open source, the software also utilizes an open development model where students and researchers from many different areas of math can examine the source code so that it is possible to understand how each calculation is done. It's completely open, unlike other programming languages. So you can become as involved as users, and you can even develop parts of Sagemath. That's the greatest advantage of Sagemath. And so usually upper division students who have better mathematical skills, uh, they can add meaningfully to Sagemath. So that's another great advantage. Apart from both of these, research, so undergraduate research is a super hot thing these days, and Sagemath allows students to be up and running fast. Students who are not really, you don't have to be proficient programmers to be using Sagemath. As I said, it's a mathematical software. So all you need is a little mathematical prerequisite to begin with Sagemath. So these are like the greatest advantages of Sagemath. And Sagemath is expected to replace all commercial softwares like MATLAB, Mathematica, Maple, and Magma, etc. Over the next decade. So that's mostly about Sagemath. If any of you have any questions at any point of time, you can please stop me and ask them. Okay. So I think that's mostly about Sagemath. Coming to the course, so the prerequisites for this course is basic Python introduction and installation, then Python lists, tuples, sets, dictionaries, Python functions, branching, and loops. Very basics of Python. Although all of these topics will be briefly covered during the course. Apart from this, you need to know basic linear algebra and basic differential equations, differential calculus basically. These are the prerequisites for the course. And coming to the course structure, so the first 6 weeks will be teaching classes. So I'll begin with introduction to Sagemath, and then uh, I'll go to calculus and Sagemath, linear algebra and Sagemath, then numerical methods. So okay, so the main advantage of this course is numerical methods or scientific computing, computational methods is an essential part of computational research today. So yeah, I'll be covering basics of numerical methods, with which you can get started with numerical, again, scientific computing. So this will be taught over the first 6 weeks, and the seventh week, the application and intricacies of Sagemath by industrial experts, and in the eighth week there'll be a mock interview session. This is the course structure. For more information, the Gradsky website has a detailed course structure as to what topics will be taught in each week, so you can go through that. That's with the presentation today. That's it I have. You have any other questions, please feel free to ask me. You can stop me at any point. Any of you have any questions about the course, about Sagemath, anything?
I have copied the course link for your quick reference. So you can unmute your mic and then ask, or if you want to chat, just type your questions. That's also fine. Mega, meantime, do you want to give your experience with using this?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So I started using Sagemath in my second semester. I did a course called Introduction to Scientific Computing. That's where I was introduced to Sagemath. And initially, I never understood how powerful Sage was. And in my second year, I started off with a project where I had to numerically simulate a physical heater, a transparent thin film heater, since I'm a metallurgy material science student. So I had to computationally simulate it. And MATLAB was one thing I could use, while SageMath basically can do everything MATLAB can do, but it's open source, and the syntax, and I mean it's a very easy interface to use for all of you. You don't need to know any other programming language. Very basic Python's enough for you to begin with Sagemath. So yeah, so I worked on this project for about a year, and it's also a part of a publication. Like, we it's under review right now, but yeah, so I numerically simulated the heater using Sagemath. That's been my experience, and I think Sagemath is wonderful for everybody who'd like to get started with any computational science, basically computational science and mechanical engineering, chemical engineering, electrical engineering, any core branch of engineering. I think Sagemath is an essential skill that will help you will realize how powerful it is as you use it. uh,
Naga, you might have used MATLAB as well, right? So compared to MATLAB and switching over here, what is there
yeah,
any
yeah.
difficulty you had? And
Yeah, so I have used MATLAB. I've used MATLAB also for a long time. And okay, honestly, I could use MATLAB only because I had academic license. Otherwise, the commercial licenses are very expensive. They cost up to $4,000 per year. That's really expensive. So that's one thing. So apart from the expense and the license, so MATLAB, the installation itself is huge. So, but that's not the case with SageMath. SageMath is a small extension to Python. So all you have to do is like, if you just have to do pip install Sage. That's all is Sagemath installation. But MATLAB installation, okay, so like it took me about 24 hours just for the installation. It's huge, and it's really it's very complex. I mean, you require about 20 minimum of 10 to 25 GB space to install MATLAB, but none of that is required with Sage. And coming to syntax, personally, Sage syntax is simpler than MATLAB. uh, I mean, the language, both of them are simple, but I personally think if you have a if you know basics of Python, Sagemath will be much easier than MATLAB, and it's computationally better than it's more powerful than MATLAB. Installations very simple. It does not require a lot of space on your computer. So I mean, I think MATLAB has all advantages over I'm sorry, Sagemath has all advantages over MATLAB. So yeah.
so actually, Mr. Ranganathan Srinivasan has joined. He's working in Honeywell. So he's a research fellow. Research fellow means basically he's equivalent to a VP in a management sector. So he's in a academic. He is in a in a technical domain. So he's equivalent to VP. He's a senior research fellow. So I welcome Mr. Ranganathan Srinivasan in this forum. Um, so Ranganathan, basically, Anaga is the instructor, course instructor for Sagemath. She gave an introduction about Sage and her experience so far. And so if we like to hear from you, generally about this computation platforms and how it is going to be helpful to the students community, especially the second year students and third year students. How early using this will help, and how it can be used by them, and how much important do you think? So all these things, if we can share, that will be very much helpful.
Yeah. Thanks, Achutaraman. Hey, hello guys. I mean, which year students are these people? Each one of you, third year, fourth year?
Not sure. Yeah, finally. Yeah. Please let's open your mic and then introduce yourself.
Third year.
Third year, okay. What kind of background you guys are? Electrical, electronics, computer science?
Sir, from
Technology.
Mechanical, okay. What about others?
Technology, sir.
Okay. How about? I just wanted to get a feel of what the different backgrounds you have, so that it makes sense for you guys.
You can type in a chat also.
Yeah. I mean, are you guys there, or I'm not hearing out or typing? Yeah, I see 1% mechanical. Can rest of you also type? Sakti. Yet, I can tell you some relevant information on why, that what are the use cases, and then finally link it back to Sagemath or any computational tool, right? Okay, so at least let me take a look at the general. Yeah, so I see that at least quite a few are mechanical and electrical, right? The larger population, if you see. Okay. You can stop me and ask some questions as well. So if you see here, what are the different in real life world, right? You have sensors, right? Do you understand what is sensors, right? Some measurements. So let's say you take robotics. What kind of measurements will be there? Can anyone answer? Somebody exposed to that? Hey, don't worry if you're wrong, but just give some answers. Hello?
Sir, I don't have any ideas.
Okay. No, just think of a robot or a drone, for example. For the drone to work, what do you need? Or you guys have bikes, right? For the bike to work, what all things you need?
Sir, control units.
Any sensors that you can see in your front dashboard? When you're riding a bike. You guys have bike, right? Most of you. There are two measurements that is minimum is there. What are those?
Speedometer.
Fantastic. One more.
Indicator sensor.
Yeah, indicator fine, but there is something very important for the bike to run.
Fuel capacity indicators.
Ah, fantastic. So these are just two sensors even for a simple bike, right? So suppose if you're trying to control a drone or you were trying to control a robot, what kind of sensors we'll have? How many sensors do you, I mean, like, do you expect them to be like handful or many?
Several sensors, sir.
Several sensors, correct? So what happens is that there are many things that we need to do where when you are designing these electronics or some of the circuits or you have to take decisions, right? Basically for the for whatever that needs to happen. Let's say, have you heard of cruise speed in cars, like going at some constant speed, the speed being controlled? Yes, no?
Sir, not here in car, sir, but in ship, sir.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's fine. So somewhere, right? So that means there is a feedback to maintain it, right? So what happens is in every field, whatever the field is, there'll be a set of measurements that is coming through the sensors, and that needs to be processed, right? First is you have to make sure that the sensing values are not having noise and stuff like that. You have to do some signal processing, and before even that you need to design circuitries to do some filter designs and stuff like that. That's more of electrical. Now on the mechanical side, when you are looking at some parts, you might want to measure the vibration and keep the vibrations at the minimum, right? So let's say that I have a huge machinery that is set up inside a factory, and if the vibration is more, what will happen?
The assembly will get failure, sir.
Yeah, you will get failure and you may not be able to stand in there and work. The floor on which it is there might also start having some impacts because of the vibrations. And so what happens is that everywhere when we start designing systems, right, you have to do some bit of analysis, design analysis, and see that the system works. All right. So when you have to say the system works, that analysis that you are doing is a scientific analysis. You have to write equations, find out at what frequency this vibration will happen based on some natural frequency of that system that you are studying, or the sensor, based on the noise in the sensor that you have, what kind of filter we need to put so that you get a clean signal. So everywhere there is a processing that is required. The processing could be very high end, the processing could be very simple, but these processings have to be done to demonstrate my design is good. Okay. To do these analysis, people use multiple tools: MATLAB, MathCAD, Mathematica, right? And then you have this lot of these ANSYS, which does the finite element analysis to look at the temperature spreads and stuff like that, or stress, whatnot, right? So what happens is that as an engineer, on a when you design and develop products for a company like Honeywell, right, there will be a set of people who will keep doing these analysis using tools. And it's very important that if you have an idea of these tools, it helps you to grab these opportunities within the organization. It helps you to go progress in your career very fast, because you understand the domain, you know the tool, you understand the domain, you can simulate it, and then come up with new designs, innovations, or make the design better, so that the company profits from these things. Because no company would want a product to fail in a site and then you completely redesign, because you would have wasted a lot of time. So these kind of tools, that Sagemath or any of the other tools, really helps the companies to make sure that the design that is put in does the proper signal processing, does the proper mechanical strength, mechanical aspects of the enclosures, or the machine performance, or the impacts of any of these components onto the overall missionaries. So I think in a nutshell, if you see in a company like Honeywell, tool, using the tool you might solve some equations to understand the design parameters, or you might analyze, you might want to write some equations to generate data to understand. Sometimes you might want to do the processing, you might want to design the communication. Suppose you're doing a wireless communication, let's say, there is a difference between how many guys use wireless at your home? Wireless internet adapter. Hello? Some questions? So somebody raised hand. Is there a question for me? Hello?
Sir, no, sir. You have questioned how many of you used wireless in home?
Okay. Right. See, what I wanted to say was that when you have, open environments, wireless works very well in a close proximity, without in all directions. Suppose you have a lot of steel environment, right? Then the wireless capability reduces quite a bit, the speed and other things, basically because there is absorption of all these wireless signals by these, or it gets reflected or deflected some places. So when we are let's say designing that we wanted to track the items within a truck, its temperature and let's say humidity of a vaccine that is being transported in that truck, right? Now, what kind of and each of these sensors are, let's say, are wireless sensors, and they talk to some common gateway. Now, what we need to do is we need to design the common gateways antenna such that like it is able to put the data into the cloud, and it is able to also tell which parameters are which parameters are kind of tweaked, so that like the cloud connections and GPS of the truck, everything is all the time uh, uh, being measured. Now this you cannot put it on a truck and test it, so they use these computational tools to simulate, right? So there these computational tools, learning this usage of computational tool, learning some of the packages associated with your discipline is going to be very key if you want to choose the engineering field and then go forward in your careers. So I would strongly urge you, if Sagemath is a better tool than MATLAB from a point of view of you can install it free and use it, and it gives you almost similar features, I think you should go and try. That's all I have, Achutram. Do you want me to say anything else?
Okay, yeah, that's great. Actually, there is someone how to register to the course through the link you sent. There is a free enroll. You should see the enroll button, right? There's two buttons will be there. One for free and another for the mentorship and assessment. Anyway, please ask any questions to Mr. Ranganathan. If you have any, feel free to ask any. Don't think it is a silly question or a big question, whatever it is. You guys all may have some dreams in your life, right? What do you want to become? So how it is going to helpful? All these things you can ask him. So while he is here.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. Am I audible,
Yeah.
sir?
Yeah.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Sir, I'm Sarvajit from Mechanical Department, final year, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, is this course will be useful for those who interested in quality management, sir?
Definitely.
Yes, sir.
Definitely. You know why? Because let's say when you say quality from a manufacturing floor, right? That's what you meant. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So see, when you say I develop a product, right? Let's say I developed a product that measures CO2 uh, in a in a closed environment. That product, right? Or let's say that you have some watch that needs to be manufactured in an assembly, right? So it has mechanical enclosures, and you need to understand, or let's say I take a portable gas meter today. If the people go to different complex chemical environments, they take these devices. So all these devices are subject to fall. So one of the important tests is, let's say, drop test, right? So there are many tests that they do to break the product. Will the product break? Will the product, what are the different conditions under which the temperature conditions, humidity conditions, and so many places that the product can fail. So the quality plays an important role to really help the engineering to develop good products if they don't have the capability to do that. So instead of doing the actual test, some people do simulation, and these tools will help you to do that.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else?
Sir, this software is used widely in which industry, sir?
See, there is no, see, all industries uses some computational software. I don't want to say Sagemath is the software that's used everywhere. Sometimes companies wants to invest in commercial software so that there is continuous uh, support and stuffs like that, because the companies, like for example, Honeywell is a company that's run for 120 years now. So sometimes you have to make sure that this the system is such that it's sustainable. We are not dependent on open source and stuffs like that. But what I'm trying to tell you guys is that you cannot afford MATLAB, or you cannot afford Mathematica, those kind or ANSYS, right? So for you to learn the computational modeling and interpreting the results and improving the skills, the Sage Math will help you. It's like a gateway for you to, because the analysis and the equations are going to be similar, except the tool that you use is different. So if your tool doesn't do the magic, it is you who is doing the magic. So you learn that, and switching to another tool is no big deal. So I learned MATLAB in 96. Okay, that time it was doesn't have a user interface also. Today it is a lot more very different. But I also learned other tools like Python or Scilab, because sometimes it is a need, and switching to other tools are not difficult because you know what you want to do, and it looks very similar in all the environments. So I strongly encourage you, don't get into the aspect of if I learn, say, Sage Math, will I get job? It's ultimately it is your skill, right? uh, that you will use to use those tools. End of the day, it is all the tools. So it's like if I have a uh, iPhone, and if I have a Oppo phone, right? And if you don't use any of these features of the phone and you use only for call, what difference does it make? So as long as the tools are giving you what is basically needed as a skill set for you to practice, that is important. I don't want to compare SageMath versus MATLAB versus Scilab, because it's a company's decision to invest on which. That's what I wanted to say, right? But the skill set gets developed by all these tools, any of these tools, because all these tools provide you the same opportunity to learn the skills, to do the same analysis. Do you understand the point?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so don't get hung up by if I learn Sage Math, is a bad in if I spend time in Sage Math, is it going to waste my time? Or ultimately, whatever the project that you're going to do using Sage Math will speak for several years, not the tool, because tool is a mean. It's like if you want to come to Bangalore, you can come by train, you can come by bus, you can come by plane, but at the end of the day, you're going to come to Bangalore, whatever mean that you after that, the mean goes off. So the skill is what is needed for you to use the tool, and all these tools gives you the same analysis scope. So I think you have to learn the skill.
Yes, sir. So the basic skills will be numerical calculus, differential calculus, and then Python basic coding skill, sir.
Yeah, but you have to do a project, right? Because you have to take, let's say, I wanted to analyze a simple structure's vibration. Then you will use the tool in that direction. Then you will be able to see the steps of what I do. So for example, ANSYS, for example, has when you have a PCB design, right? What happens if a bend to that tool happens? What are the components that will fail? Right, and what happens when I vibrate it? What happens when some electromagnetic radiation is very close, high electromagnetic, like a strong wireless point is close by? So it can bring in some alarms, it can bring in some side effects that are not desired. So right, so these are all, you can pick up some realistic problem and then use the tool and learn it. Not generally like the way we study mathematics, right? These tools should be used with a case study. All right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't know which companies use Sagemath. Honeywell uses several tools. One of them is MATLAB. We also use Scilab. We also use Answers. But all are paid tools, as I told. Yeah. Yeah. It's useful for data analysis. I think you should go and explore.
Sir, one more doubt, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, for regarding quality management, sir, it is better to pursue diploma in TQM or a master's in TQM, sir.
I don't know this question. I'm not directly working in, because I work on the research and development side of it. But I can find out from someone and then let Chiduraman know so that he can inform you. You can send an email query to him so that I will respond back through someone who is correct to answer that.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
So if there are no questions, Chiduraman, can I drop?
Yes, Ranganathan. So thank you very much for your time and appreciate your valuable points. So obviously, if there is any questions, probably I will collect it and then I will give it to you. Probably you can answer that later whenever you have time.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
So
Thank you very
guys,
much.
yeah. Okay. So just one last time. Anybody has questions before I drop? All right. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Ranganathan. Yeah. Okay, great. So, I think that was a very useful session with the Honeywell Research Fellow. So I think it's a very it's a prevailing tool, as Ranganathan correctly said. For a lot of projects, once you have the tools in handy, then you can do a lot of projects using that. That's what it enables you to do a lot of projects. That's what basically all these tools helps, right? So that's what we want to have this course so that you can understand what all you can do with Sagemath. And obviously, it's just a reference. Sagemath is just a reference. You can do all these things using different other tools like Skylab and other things, whichever industry want to use. So, yeah. Okay, so Anaga, you want to have anything, any final wrap up or any questions to Anaga? Please feel free to ask.
I think what Mr. Ranganathan said is very right. I mean, it's right. So all these softwares are tools again. So once you learn and you know how one software works, it's very easy for you to switch to any other. So yeah, I think I just wanted to add that.
Sir, I have one more doubt, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sir, is Python Jupyter and Sagemath Jupyter on base of function both are similar?
SageMath, you just have to add an extension to Jupyter. So once you install SageMath on your computer, so say you open Jupyter Lab or Jupyter Notebook, you'll always have an option of choosing Python, whatever version of Python installed you have, or SageMath. So it's just SageMath is just an extension to Jupyter that is needed. It's like installing NumPy on Python, or like any other basic open source library of Python. It's very similar to that.
Okay.
Any other questions? All questions are welcome.
Ma'am, what will be the outcome by attending the course, ma'am?
So okay, so mostly I will actually be covering a lot of mathematical concepts theoretically first, and then the same theoretical concepts that I teach, I'll be teaching using SageMath. So again, so if the I think the theoretical math that you learn will be extremely helpful for you to. So the same theory can be coded using any software. So I think your mathematical skills will improve greatly, and you'll be introduced to Sage Math as I mean, like, yeah, it's a Sage Math course. So you'll know how to do all of these using Sage Math, and it's very easy for you to extend. Once you get started with anything, it becomes very easy for you to, like, get into it and like learn more. So I think that's how the course will help you.
All right, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
So I hope you guys are using MATLAB in your whatever, there could be some kind of a lab session and projects based on that. Do you guys use it? Pardon? I didn't get it.
No, sir, we have not used it, sir.
Oh, okay. So that's surprising. Usually, mechanical, electrical guys use MATLAB, right? Ranaga, if I'm not.
Yeah, most colleges, yeah, they teach MATLAB, and like students use MATLAB.
Yeah, there is a question. Certification will provide after the completion of course. Yeah, so if you take the course, there are two variants of the course. One is a free course. It's called audit course, where you'll be understanding about Sage Math, mathematics behind it, how to use it, all these things. There is another one which is course with mentorship and assessment, where you get assessed. So once you get assessed, by every week there will be an assessment session. It's a 6 weeks program and 6 week assessment session. So once you get into the assessment session, then you are assessed. So we can able to give you a completion certificate. In the free course, we will be giving you a participation certificate. That's the difference. So I'll send both the links. Basically, there is a free link and then there's a paid link. So both I have putting it on the screen, on the chat window. So if anybody is looking for the paid one, which is basically every week there will be an exercise, all these things. You'll get a hands-on experience how to use Sagemath for various, various conditions, all these things. So I have given both, so you can choose whichever you like, and then you can switch anytime later on as well. You can join for the free course and then see how it goes, whether it is useful for you, all these things, and then you can switch to paid course whenever you want.
I have one question to like everybody here. Have any of you or like all of you worked on any project or any course or anything where you used any computational software? If yes, what software and like what has the project been? I mean, like a basic overview of everything. Okay.
I don't know what what's platform they do the project, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to know if any of them have used any computational software or do they have any like have they ever done any computational work or anything related to that?
Ma'am, actually in mechanical department, we are doing with SolidWorks, ANSYS and Creo.
Okay. I think that's branch specific, a little branch specific.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're almost done. Any last minute questions? Any questions you want to get clarified? So basically, the course supposed to start today. Since we have this session today, so we're delaying by a week. So next Friday, the first class will start. So all the exercise will be given in Naga. You can explain how you're planning to give the exercise, and every week problems and how the student has to solve all these things.
Yes, definitely. So every Fridays there'll be a class, and the next Thursday, so the next Thursday there'll be a tutorial session of whatever I based on whatever I taught the previous Friday. So the tutorial session, what I'm planning to do is I'll give all of you I'll share a Jupyter notebook with questions. It'll have the question in detail, and like and it'll be more like a fill in the blanks, but you'll have to fill in the codes. And I think yeah, so on Thursdays the first 1 hour you'll have to solve the notebook on your own, and then you save it and you save the changes that you've made, and you will have to submit it to me, and I'll evaluate it by the next week, and I'll send the marks like however I grade them. So that's how the tutorial session or the the practice sessions will work. And coming to the classes will mostly be a demonstration. So what I expect all of you to do is the first class I'll teach all of you how to install Sagemath. Installing Sagemath beforehand, that's very good. Even otherwise, the first class I'll show all of you how to install Sagemath. And as I teach something, and as I code something, as I show a demonstration, I want all of you to be trying that side by side. So we'll all be using Jupyter Notebook. So all of you please have Jupyter Notebook installed beforehand. Um, the Sagemath extension, if you can install Sagemath, that's good. Otherwise, I'll teach that in the first week. So yeah, that's how the classes will run, and then the practice sessions. you have any questions with respect to the classes, you can ask.
So I got basically from mechanical, mechatronics, electrical, all these students, right? So when they present the resume for for campus interviews or whatever it is, and they float the resume. So when they put something like they did some projects or some have familiarity in something like a MATLAB or Sage Lab or Scala, whatever it is. So is that is a plus from the industry point? I don't know. I'm not sure whether they look for it.
Yes, definitely. So the reason why I can answer for this is because I actually mailed a lot of professors abroad asking for a research internship. So all this other skill sets, all the other tools that I knew, and all the projects that I had done using any of these computational tools, all of these greatly helped me, because a lot of professors, like I've gotten very good replies from them telling that I have a very like a very good resume. That's because of, so anything that you do, any addition, so any valuable addition, I mean, like, it's definitely helpful. So I think Sagemath as a tool on your resume is a very good thing. I mean, I think it's very valuable. Not just Sagemath for that. Yeah, even if you like any other computational tool or software that and you mention it on your resume, any project you've done using any of these tools, or any project in general actually, will be very valuable. So I think it's really good to have, it's really good to uh, try out these things. Like, once you get started, you will just realize how, how easy and how I mean, like, it's something that's very essential in today's world, because you can't experimentally, or you can't practically simulate everything, because some things might be, very dangerous, some things might be very expensive. So that's where computational computations help. Yeah, so I hope I've answered that.
Yeah, there is a question I just want to share. So hope everyone can see my screen. Hello, does my screen is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So we are running different courses, like for placement preparatory. This is for pre-final and final year courses, and then machine learning. This is also for the pre-final year and second year students. So why I put this slide is to show this. There is an audit course and then the full course. Audit course basically a free course where every Friday there are lectures, right? So Anaga will be giving you the lectures on every Friday, the new topics. That's a free course. So free course will cover the lecture part and some kind of a problem solving in the lecture. Whereas the full course, which is on both days, Thursday and Friday, will cover a lot of things. Whatever you learned on Friday, you'll get a chance to make your hands dirty by, exercises, all these tutorials, what Anaga is mentioning, that's going to happen on Thursday. So these dates are different for the different course. So forget about Sundays or days. For this course, it is going to be Thursdays and Friday. Friday is lecture, and Thursday is tutorial and hands-on things. And also, Anaga will be explaining you after this how to solve the problem, right? Both. So you will be solving the problem in the first half, and then second half, she will demonstrate how to solve the problem, right? Something like that. And then evaluation happens. So once evaluation happens, then obviously you will be, we'll be in a good position to refer you. If some industry needs this skill, then it will be able to refer you for a, internship or whatever it is, because without assessment, we cannot refer you. So once you assess, then you will come into the pool of assessed pool, curated pool of candidates. Then we can refer you to the companies who is looking for the skills. And at the end, if you have chosen the full course, at the end there will be a mock interview. Like now you have heard from Mr. Ranganathan from Honeywell. Like that, few of the industry people will be coming, and they're doing a mock interview kind of a thing. Mock interview means it won't be just a questions they will be asking, and also they will be teaching you how to solve that. So you'll get a full understanding of using this, and then from that understanding, you can go for a project. You can comfortably and confidently go for a project when you move to the final year or pre-final year. That's the intention of this. And video access, everything will be available for the full course thing. So I think this slide gives you the correct understanding of what you get in audit course, which is free, what you get in full course, which is paid. So any questions? Okay.
To learning this software, we need any skills in Python, ma'am?
It would help if you know basics of Python, but I think you'll be able to manage even if you don't, because I will briefly cover everything beforehand. If you know how to use Jupyter Notebook, for example, like say you know how to use Jupyter Notebook, it definitely will help you, as I, like you can be faster, you can, yeah, I mean, it's ideally, I mean, it will help you, but it's okay, you'll be able to manage, because it's, although it's Python based, you should be able to manage, because I'll cover most things beforehand.
Yeah, same question was asked for the machine learning class also. So some of the students from different course, like major from mechanical or civil, they asked, I don't know Python, but there is one of the prerequisites is Python for machine learning course as well. So how to learn? So the answer given was, it is very simple Python. You can learn it in a day or two. There are a lot of free websites, very basic understanding, because it's a lot of libraries, right? So how to use the syntax and other things. If you learn, probably we can give you the correct internet website references, so where you can learn this in a faster and quicker way in 1 or 2 days. I think that should not be a bigger hurdle. Obviously, one has to learn Python, so it's an opportunity to learn a quick basic Python.
Yeah, see, any programming language for that matter, you can't theoretically learn, you can't read a book on Python and learn how to, learn Python. So unless like you work using that software, work using that programming language or that software, you will not, I mean, you'll not learn. And there actually isn't anybody who knows the whole of Python. So as you, I mean, as you like begin, you will learn, so you don't have to worry about it. You should just be willing to learn, so yeah, you'll be able to.
So any other questions? There's no questions, we'll wrap. So my request is, please spread this to your friends, because there are a lot of opportunity is given in the Gradsky platform, because it is run by the students for the students. So please spread this. So there are a lot of free courses. They can take advantage of it. They may not know what is, like, for example, Sagemath. A lot of people don't know what is Sagemath is. Why should I learn it? How it is going to be useful? Like that. So many people will be, your friends, your school, your college mates and your classmates will be there. So just give them. I've also shared this recorded video. And you can spread the word so that more people can get benefited by this. Okay, there's no questions, then we'll wrap up the session. Just wait for 1 minute. If there's no questions, we'll wrap up.